everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm John and you're going to be seeing Matt in a little bit. But today we're here to talk about 48 Hours and another 48 Hours. And we're also here to talk about its brand new 4K Blu-rays that just came out from Paramount. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of 4K movie reviews, tech and game reviews, nothing helps out more than by you liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So if anyone knows anything about 48 Hours, it stars Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. Eddie Murphy actually in his film debut, and is directed by Walter Hill. And this movie tells the story of Nick Nolte. He's a cop. And one day, on a prison yard line, one guy with the help from another guy, he escapes from prison in a wild shootout and he's on the run, but he has some sort of connection to Reggie Hammond, played by Eddie Murphy. So Nick Nolte gets a 48-hour free pass to take him out of jail and help him find this guy. And this guy Gaines, played by James Raymore, man, he is just a violent, dirty, down and dirty, disgusting criminal. He's not afraid to kill anyone, take anyone hostage, just to make sure he gets whatever he wants to get. And Reggie Hammond, he's in jail. He wants to get his revenge on Gaines. He has nothing to like about him. He thinks he's a piece of shit, just like Nick Nolte thinks he's a piece of shit. But the story really revolves around Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy and their bond and what they're going through. Because they start off hating each other. Obviously, Nick Nolte's this hard-edged cop. You know, he kind of lives like a miserable life. It seems like he's not happy. He doesn't enjoy his job. All his fellow cops really don't seem to respect him. They actually kind of seem like they hate him.
Good for you! Suspension! Review board! You've had it! As soon as it get around you protecting a car rather than the helicopter! God damn it!
Through the course of the movie, we get to see Nick Nolte. He's kind of a racist and kind of being a piece of crap to Eddie Murphy. You know, he doesn't respect him as a convict or anything like that. But as the movie goes on, they start to build this buddy cop relationship. This is kind of considered where the buddy cop formula really kind of took off, that would lead to such films as Lethal Weapon, which is my personal favorite of the buddy cop formula that they were really leaning into in the 1980s. But this one in particular is considered a comedy action classic. Although I gotta admit, I didn't laugh as many times this time when I was watching it. I felt like this is more of like an action drama actually, and I felt like the action scenes are very well done. You know, the score really plays a big part in those scenes. You know, other than that, the score is kind of flat. You don't really hear it too much, but in those big action sequences, especially in the first and third act, the score really helps to really build the tension. This movie is a very, very good film. It's very well made, very well structured. Eddie Murphy obviously steals the show in every scene he's in. My personal favorite is when they're going to sleep. Eddie Murphy asks him to tell him a bedtime story. And
tell me a story.
Fuck you!
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
it's my favorite scene in the whole movie. I use that line still to this day when people tell me to go fuck myself or anything. I'm like, that's my favorite. It's just such a well-acted movie. It's really funny. I really do enjoy the acting in this movie. I really do enjoy the plot. The only real question I kind of have is the ending of this movie, where it's, you know, he goes back to jail. I would think with only 6 months left and helping out the cops catch their guy who killed other cops, I feel like they would just be like, hey, listen, all right, you paid your debt to society. We're already in there for 2.5 years. We could take the last 6 months off. Thanks for helping us out. Go on your merry way. But anyway, I really love 48 Hours. If you haven't checked out this movie, I really do think you're gonna like it. It's 40 years old now, but it still really holds up, and I really do think you're gonna enjoy it, so definitely check this one out. Here's the 48 Hours 4K Blu-ray that just came out. Now, I opted just to get the original 48 Hours on 4K, while Matt got the double pack with 48 Hours and another 48 Hours. I don't like another 48 Hours. I feel like it's one of the most disappointing comedy sequels of all time. Matt will give you his thoughts on it. I'm here just to talk about the original 48 Hours and its 4K. And as far as packaging goes, because that's where we're going to start, I thought it's actually very nice. A really nice slipcover. That's one of the main reasons why I didn't want to get the double pack. I like this slipcover. I like the box art on it. You slip it off, you get the same slipcover underneath. Pop it open, you get your blue Blu-ray disc and your black 4K disc. No discard or anything like that on there. It's still really good, but you know, could have gone a little extra step just to make that disc art look a little bit, but you know, that's just a minor complaint. I really have not too much to say about that. The box design and everything like that is very good. It's just, you know, it's your standard Paramount 4K Blu-ray. Nothing special, but I do like the slipcover, and I think they put a little bit of effort into it. Now, visually, it is in your original aspect ratio of 1.85, Dolby Vision and HDR10 on here. And you know what? I gotta be honest, the visuals didn't blow me away on this. And I would talk to Matt, because he watched this and another 48 Hours, and he thought it was good. I thought it was good in scenes. The very first opening scene, when they're on that prison line doing work outside, and it didn't pop at all. Like, the resolution just kind of seemed like a little bit off. Now, it is very grainy throughout, but that actually does help it. That's not a complaint. Like, it never seems like it's snowing or anything like that, but, the grain is there the whole time, and I think that does help it. But this feels like the only issues I have are probably a source material issue, because it's very much scene to scene, where some scenes look really good, but then there's scenes in the police station where it looks very, like the white balance is way off and it just looks flat, and then they go to the next scene and it pops. Like, the car they're driving, that light blue convertible, it starts to pop. The lights on the street, especially when they're driving out at night, looks good. But even in the same scene, when they clearly cut to a different day of filming, like, you could just see it's like kind of like flat again, and the colors just don't pop anymore. So it's a very much a scene to scene visual issue, and it's definitely because of the source material. And also, again, it's 1982, 40 years later, and a lot of the interiors that they film on just have a very flat color pattern of like beiges, grays, browns, where it all kind of just, it's not colors that are going to pop off your screen, especially in the daytime scenes. You're not going to really notice anything that's really going to visually draw you in. Nick Nolte's very kind of plain looking. Eddie Murphy's Reggie Hammond is wearing a gray suit. Like, these aren't things that are going to pop off your screen. So at night, when they're in the bars, like, those lights really pop off your scene. Although I do think that the second bar scene, when they go to like Eddie Murphy's kind of bar, that one pops way more than when they're in the country bar the first time, where we get that classic Eddie Murphy scene. I felt like that bar kind of looked worse, and again, the white balance just seemed a little bit off in there in parts, and I really do think that it just kind of feels like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, where they kind of just threw the Dolby Vision over it, and they kind of didn't go back and edit the colors in every scene. I kind of feel like they did that here, but it's not as bad as Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's not even close to being as bad as Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I just wasn't blown away by this 4K. I was trying to go through my head, because I did just watch Black Christmas. Like, okay, maybe it's just the source material. But, for 1982, this is a studio film. It's not like Black Christmas where they had no money. Like, it shouldn't look this poor in certain scenes. I mean, I get lighting plays a big part of it, but I don't know. It just, certain scenes just did not look as good. You don't even get like where the background was kind of like, doing that thing where it changes colors just slightly just because of the film source. And, I thought they could have cleaned that up. I mean, these are just minor complaints, I guess, but I definitely noticed these issues throughout. So I can't give this 4K a perfect grade visually. I thought it was good. It's probably the best that 48 Hours has ever looked, but it's definitely not the most stunning 4K. If you're a fan of 48 Hours and you were really excited to see a beautiful, eye-popping 4K, this is not it. But it is a good 4K. It is good. It's just not great, and it's not even really floating that great line. It's just good. If you have a previous Blu-ray, I'm sure it's an upgrade, but I don't think it's a huge upgrade. Now, audio-wise, that actually did impress me, because it's got a Dolby True HD 5.1 on there, and it really, like, the shootouts, they all sounded good. Anytime the score kicked in, anytime any music kicked in, it did a really good job. I really thought that popped, and I thought they did a good job with the audio. It's a really good track. I was actually very surprised at how good it was. That is probably the shining star of this entire 4K experience, is that. Again, it would have been nice to get a Dolby Atmos track, but I don't know. We didn't get that here, and that's all right. I still felt like this 5.1 did enough to really get you there. Now, as far as extras go, there is none on the 4K disc. Everything is on your second disc, and it's really nothing. Just 19 minutes, kind of looking back with Walter Hill. You get the theatrical trailer. If you notice, they were watching that Space Kid short in the movie, and that whole short from 1966 is on the second disc, but that is it as far as extras. It's really just your standard studio release where there is almost no extras on there. You're really just in it for the 4K disc, and that 4K disc just did not impress me. So if I'm going to rate 48 Hours the 4K alone, not the double pack, just this single version of 48 Hours based on visuals, packaging, audio, and its extras, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I would wait for a sale. I think floating around the $15, maybe $10 to $15 range, I would grab this, but don't rush out and grab it. It didn't blow me away. I was expecting more, and I didn't get more, and I'm a little bit disappointed by it, but I'm still very happy that I have this in my collection because the film itself still is a classic. It's still a buddy comedy classic, and it is one of Eddie Murphy's best, and you won't be disappointed by owning this film. But I don't think you need to own it at full price.
So you've heard John's thoughts on 48 Hours. Now, this is my first time seeing 48 Hours, and I'm going to also review another 48 Hours, because I got the double pack, where John thought it was a better idea just to get the first one and not have the second one in his collection. I'm more of a have the complete series in my collection type of guy, and I went for the double pack, where it kind of just saves some more room on my shelf, because having this many movies, you try to save some space where you can. So I figured instead of buying two, I can have one and still have them both. We already heard John's thoughts on 48 Hours. I'm not going to go too in depth with it. This is my first time seeing both of these films. I really enjoyed 48 Hours. It's a great buddy cop movie. It's a great 80s movie. It's got a lot of the like that 80s feel to it, that 80s nostalgia that we love. And again, it's just like a buddy cop movie. It's kind of like Rush Hour a little bit, but I think Rush Hour is more on the comedy side where there's some more action in this. But, Eddie Murphy brings that comedic element to it. But I really enjoyed it. As far as the 4K goes, I think it was a pretty good transfer. Compared to the Blu-ray, I still think it looked better. I definitely think Paramount's really been knocking it out of the park lately with all their releases, and this is no exception. So I definitely sign off on the 4K transfer for 48 hours. However, I think another 48 hours is a better transfer, or just better looking. Maybe it's because it's a newer movie, who knows. But again, this is only my first time seeing this movie as well. I don't like it as much as the first one. John made it out to be a terrible movie. I don't think it's a terrible movie. I just think it was too much time in between, and sometimes sequels suffer even if they come out within a year or two of it, the original. But, I think this had way too much time in between it. I still think it was pretty good. I still think Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte had some pretty good chemistry. But I enjoyed the first one more. Will I watch both of them again? Absolutely. There's probably times where I can just watch the first one and be happy. I'll definitely watch the second one a few more times, especially because I have this 4K. So like I said earlier, I got the double pack from Paramount with 48 hours and another 48 hours, just because, saving room I think is pretty important when you collect as much as we do. And, it came with a nice slipcover. I still think it was decent cover art. It's not like these are crazy, extravagant covers where you want to have them by themselves. It's just, again, it's very similar to what the original, what the single looks like. And I didn't really think I was missing too much by doubling up in the pack versus buying them individually. So when you open up the double pack, you do get a slipcover. And it's the same artwork on the inside, so that's common practice with these slipcovers. It's really only the boutique labels where you see different artwork on the slipcovers versus the actual case itself. So once you pop this open, you have 48 hours on 4K, 48 hours, another 48 hours on 4K, and then their counterpart on Blu-ray. So this is a 4-disc set. And, that's not bad, especially, I think you saved money by getting the double pack also, which was another reason why I didn't go for the two individuals. As I stated earlier, I think the transfer and the actual visual quality of Part 2, another 48 hours, looked a bit better than Part 1. Not that the other one looked bad at all, because I think they both looked pretty damn good. I never seen these movies before, so this is my first time watching them. Comparing it to the Blu-ray that is in this box, not sure if that's a new scan or not. It doesn't look like it because it's like that traditional cheap-looking blue Blu-ray. It is definitely a visual upgrade, and the Dolby Vision for sure puts in a ton of work. Again, we're big fans of Dolby Vision here. I really think the Dolby Vision really brings out the vibrant colors and helps in those dark scenes. So in 9 out of 10 times, HDR and specifically Dolby Vision is going to be a positive thing and make the picture look even the slightest bit better. But in this case, I think it made it look a lot better. They both had Dolby True HD 5.1 tracks, so audio all around on both discs. Pretty good, would we like an Atmos track? Yeah, I always like an Atmos track on these things, but, I think the 5.1 was more than enough. It sounded great on both of them. It really made good use of the rear speakers. The front channels are very heavy, a lot of bass, definitely a lot of bass in these. But again, I think these soundtracks are pretty good. It didn't really need an upgrade, so I guess that's why they didn't. One thing I did want to state is all the special features are on the Blu-ray discs. There's no special features on the 4K discs. So if you're a special feature guy, just keep that in mind. There is no special features on either of these 4K discs. But overall, visually, I think these are both pretty good transfers. They're nothing to write home about. They're not the most amazing looking discs there is, but that also comes back down to what they had, the source. But the Dolby Vision, the Dolby Audio, I think the Paramount did a pretty good job with this. It's the complete package, you get killer audio track, you get a beautiful visual presentation in Dolby Vision, And this is definitely the best way to watch both of these movies now. And I mean, I recommend picking up the double pack. You save a few dollars, you save some room on your shelf, and you get two great movies for the space of one.
But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this style of review that we did with me and Matt kind of being separate, reviewing both films. Let us know if you want us to do this more in the future. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And then while you're down there, if you want to grab 48 Hours or another 48 Hours on 4K from Amazon, it would really help the channel out if you grabbed it through our Amazon affiliate link that's in the description below. It costs no extra money for you, and it really does help the channel out. Another thing that really helps the channel out while you're down there is by liking this video and subscribing to the channel, and then going out and telling all your friends.